know what's funny? Even if you won the lottery 10 times over, you still wouldn't make it onto this list. Yeah, that's how rich these 20 people are. We're talking buy your own country kind of rich. So if you want to see what it's like when money is literally no object, stick around. We're about to show you the 20 richest people in the world, and trust me, it's gonna be wild. Alice Walton. Introducing Alice Walton, she's sitting pretty with a cool $58.5 billion. Yeah, that's billion with a B. Now you're probably wondering, where'd she get all that cash? Well, here's the deal. Alice is part of the Walmart empire. You know, that place where you buy everything from socks to cereal? Yeah, her family owns that. But Alice isn't just another rich kid living off daddy's money. No, she's got a passion that's way fancier than rollback prices. Alice is all about the art, folks. And I'm not talking about finger paintings stuck to the fridge. This lady's got pieces by Georgia O'Keeffe, Jackson Pollock and Andy Warhol. It's like she's got her own private MoMA in her living room. But get this, she didn't keep all that art to herself. In 2011, Alice decided to share her love of art with the world and opened up the Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art in Bentonville, Arkansas. But wait, there's more. Alice isn't just about pretty pictures. She's got her fingers in all sorts of pies. We're talking real estate that'll make your jaw drop. She's got a 200-acre ranch in Texas, a swanky pad in Bentonville, a penthouse in New York City, and a bunch of homes in California and Hawaii. I mean, why have one vacation home when you can have a dozen, right? And if you thought Alice was all about the glitz and glamour, think again. She's also big into politics, like really big. She's known for her conservative views and has thrown some serious cash at political campaigns. Charles Koke, $59 billion in the bank. How cool is that, you might be thinking? If he's so rich, why is he being stingy? Well, that's just how Charles rolls. He's all about that frugal life, even though he could buy a small country if he wanted to. It's like he's playing real-life Monopoly. But instead of buying hotels on Park Place, he's clipping coupons and shopping at the dollar store. But don't let his penny-pinching ways fool you. When Charles decides to splurge, he goes big, like really big. You want to know what kind of digs a billionaire calls home? How about a penthouse apartment on New York City's Park Avenue? And we're not talking about some cramped studio. This place is massive, with 4 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms, and its own private elevator. Oh, and did I mention he dropped a cool $40 million on it back in 2012? Yeah, that's the kind of pocket change Charles Koke has lying around. But wait, there's more. When he's not chilling in his sky-high palace, Charles likes to take a spin in his car collection. And let me tell you, these aren't your average grocery getters. This guy's got a thing for vintage rides, including a 1964 Shelby Daytona coupe. Now, I know what you're thinking. How much could an old car possibly cost? Well, hold on to your hats, folks. That little beauty is worth over $7 million. Yeah, you read that right. $7 million for a car. I guess when you're worth $59 billion, that's like buying a Happy Meal. Now, you might be wondering what a guy like Charles does with all that money when he's not buying fancy apartments or collecting crazy expensive cars. Well, here's where things get interesting. Koke is actually pretty big on giving back. He's got this thing called the Charles Koke Foundation, and it's not just some vanity project. They're out there doing real work, focusing on stuff like criminal justice reform, poverty reduction, and economic freedom. As Koke himself puts it, Koke is renowned for his commitment to philanthropy. Rob Walton, this dude's got a net worth of $59.5 billion. That's a billion with a B, folks. Now, you might think running the world's biggest retail chain is enough for one person, but Rob's got some pretty fancy hobbies too. This guy's not just about rollback prices and happy face stickers. He's got a thing for art that'll make your head spin. We're talking pieces by Georgia O'Keeffe, Andrew Wyeth, and Norman Rockwell. It's like he's got his own private museum right in his living room. But here's where it gets really crazy. Rob's not just into paintings, he's also got a thing for cars. And I'm not talking about your average soccer mom minivan. This dude's got a car collection worth $200 million. Yeah, you heard that right, $200 million on cars. He's got Ferraris, Maseratis, Shelbys, and Jaguars. One of his rides, a 1962 Ferrari 250 GT California Spider, is probably worth more than your entire neighborhood. Now you might be thinking, wow, this guy's got it all. But hold up, it's not all sunshine and rainbows in Rob's world. Walmart's been in hot water over how they treat their employees. People have been protesting, saying the Waltons care more about their billions than their workers. It's like, come on, Rob, you've got enough money to buy a small country, maybe throw your employees a bone. But before you start thinking Rob's just another greedy billionaire, get this, he's actually pretty big on giving back. He's part of the Walton Family Foundation, and they've given away billions to stuff like the arts, saving the environment, and making schools better. So I guess even billionaires have a heart, huh? Oh, and if you thought Rob was done spending money, think again. In 2022, he dropped $4.65 billion on the Denver Broncos. Yeah, that's right. He bought himself a whole football team, and not just any purchase, but the most expensive sports franchise sale in history. Jim Walton. He's the CEO of Harvest Bank, a family-owned bank that's spread across multiple states. It's like he looked at Walmart and thought, you know what? I'm going to do that, but with money. But here's the kicker. Jim's not just about counting his cash. He's got a softer side too. Like his sister Alice, he's big into art. He's got a collection that'd make most museums jealous. We're talking pieces by Andy Warhol and Norman Rockwell. It's like he's got his own private MoMA in his living room. And get this, Jim's not just hoarding all that art for himself. He's actually a big donor to the Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art. It's like he's saying, hey, I've got all these awesome paintings, why not let everyone see them? Pretty cool move for a billionaire, right? But wait, there's more. Jim's not just about art and banking. He's also into some seriously fancy wheels. You know how some people collect stamps? Well, Jim collects Ferraris. And we're not talking about your run-of-the-mill sports cars. One of his rides, a Ferrari 250 GTO, is worth between $50 million to $80 million. Yeah, you read that right. He's got a car that costs more than most people's entire neighborhoods. Now you might be thinking, wow, this guy's got it all. But hold up, there's more to Jim than just his billions. He's actually pretty big on giving back. He's on the board of the Walton Family Foundation, and they've given billions to all sorts of good causes. We're talking environmental protection, healthcare, education, you name it, they've probably thrown some cash at it. But here's the thing that really sets Jim apart. He's the quiet one in the family, Mark Zuckerberg. It is not surprising that this man is behind Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. Now Zuck's sitting pretty with a cool $62 billion. That's right, $62 billion from getting people to share cat videos and argue with their high school classmates. But don't think he's just some nerdy guy who got lucky. This dude's playing 4D chess while the rest of us are still figuring out how to set up our profile pictures. So what does a guy with more money than some small countries do for fun? Well, for starters, he's got a thing for real estate, and I'm not talking about a nice house in the suburbs. Zuckerberg's got 2 houses in Lake Tahoe that he dropped $59 million on. Yeah, you heard that right. $59 million for a couple of vacation homes. But hey, when you're worth $62 billion, that's like you or me buying a pack of gum. But wait, there's more. These aren't just any old houses. We're talking 600 acres of prime lakefront property. It's got its own boathouse, pier, and private beach. I mean, why go to a public beach when you can have your own slice of paradise, right? And if you thought that was impressive, hold on to your hats. Zuckerberg's got a whole bunch of homes in the San Francisco Bay Area too. His main crib in Palo Alto, he snagged that for a cool $7 million back in 2011. I bet that place has more screens than a Best Buy showroom. Now you might be thinking, okay, he's got some fancy houses, but what about his rides? Well, let me tell you, Zuckerberg ain't rolling around in no Honda Civic. This guy's got a garage that can fit 20 cars, and we're not talking about your average grocery getters. He's been spotted cruising in a Pagani Huayra and a Mercedes-Benz SLS AMG Black Series. Those are the kind of cars that make other supercars look like Hot Wheels toys. But here's the thing about Zuckerberg. He's not just about spending money. He's out there changing the game. Under his watch, Facebook's grown into one of the most valuable companies on the planet. Jang Shan, Jang Shan, the 15th richest person in the world with a whopping $67.4 billion. And get this, he's not just a water tycoon. He's also got his fingers in the medical world too. So what's Zhang's deal? Well, he's the big boss of Nongfu Spring, China's biggest bottled water company. Now you might be thinking, water? Really? How'd he make so much cash from that? But here's the thing, Zhang didn't just sell water, he sold an idea. He convinced an entire country that his water was the purest, the cleanest, the best. And boy did it work. But Zhang isn't just about H2O, he's also the owner of Beijing Wantai Biological Pharmacy. Now that might not sound as exciting as bottled water, but trust me, it's a big deal. These guys make stuff like diagnostic kits and vaccines, and during the COVID-19 pandemic, they were the real MVPs helping out with testing and vaccine development. Now you'd think a guy with $67.4 billion would be living it up, right? Flying around in private jets, buying islands, that kind of thing. But nope, not Zhang. This dude's so low-key you'd probably walk right past him on the street. He's like a billionaire ninja staying out of the spotlight and keeping his private life, well, private. But don't think Zhang's all work and no play. The guy's got some fancy hobbies. He loves his wine, and not just the cheap stuff you get at the corner store. We're talking rare, expensive bottles that probably cost more than your car. And when he's not sipping on fancy vino, he's out playing golf at some of the swankiest clubs in the world. I guess when you're worth $67.4 billion, you can afford to hit a few balls in style. But here's the coolest part about Zhang. He's not just hoarding all that cash. Nope, this guy's big on giving back. In 2020, he dropped $1.4 billion on charity. And in 2021, he upped the ante and gave away $1.5 billion to help out with education and medical research. That's right, this water mogul is out there making waves in the world of philanthropy too. So there you have it. Sergey Brin, sitting pretty with a cool $75.2 billion. That's right, $75.2 billion from helping you find cat videos and settle arguments about who starred in that movie you can't remember the name of. But don't think Sergey's just some nerd who got lucky. This dude's living large in ways you can't even imagine. Let's start with his ride. Most of us are happy with a car that gets us from A to B, right? Well, Sergey's got a ride that takes him from sea to shining sea. We're talking about his super yacht, Dragonfly. This bad boy cost him $80 million, and it's not just some fancy boat. It's got a helipad, a jacuzzi, and an outdoor sitting area. It's like a floating mansion. But why stop at the sea when you can rule the skies too? Sergey's got his own private jet, a Dassault Falcon 900. This thing's so fancy it makes first class look like riding in the trunk, and he uses it for work and play. I guess when you're worth $75.2 billion, the line between business and pleasure gets a little blurry. Now you might be thinking, okay, he's got a boat and a plane, but where does he lay his head at night? Well, let me tell you, Sergey's not exactly slumming it. He's got a place in Malibu that used to belong to Pink. Yeah, that Pink. We're talking 6,300 square feet, 5 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms, a pool, a gym, and more fireplaces than you can count. It's like he's living in a resort. But here's where it gets really crazy. Sergey's not just about the big stuff. He's into the finer things in life too, like wine. Amancio Ortega. Yeah, you heard that right. This dude's made more money from clothes than most countries make in a year. So what's Amancio's deal? He's the mastermind behind Zara and a whole bunch of other brands you've probably got in your closet right now. We're talking fast fashion, folks. The kind of stuff that goes from runway to store faster than you can say, I need new clothes. But here's the thing. Amancio ain't just about t-shirts and jeans. This guy's got a taste for the finer things in life. You know how some people have a nice little boat for weekend fishing trips? Well, Amancio's got a yacht that'll make your jaw drop. It's called Drizzle, and get this, he dropped $80 million on it. That's right, $80 million for a boat. I guess when you're worth $76 billion, that's like buying a kayak for the rest of us. And if you thought that was crazy, wait till you hear about his real estate game. Amancio's not content with just one fancy house. Nah, this guy's got buildings all over the place. He owns the highest skyscraper in Spain, a bunch of properties in Madrid, and get this, he once dropped $370 million on some office buildings in London's West End. Michael Bloomberg, introducing the 12th richest person in the world with a whopping $76 billion. Yeah, that's right, he's got the same amount of cash as our fashion king, but he's made it in a whole different game. So what's Bloomberg's deal? This guy started out as a Wall Street trader, but he wasn't content with just moving money around. Nah, he wanted to make his own empire, so he created this thing called Bloomberg LP. It's like the ultimate info machine for finance nerds. You know those fancy terminals you see in movies where stock traders are looking at a million numbers at once? That's Bloomberg's baby. But here's the crazy part. Bloomberg didn't stop there. He looked at New York City and thought, you know what? I could run this place. And he did. He was the mayor for 12 years. It's like he went from running a company to running a whole city. Talk about a career change, right? Now you might be thinking, okay, he's got a company and he was mayor, but what's he do with all that cash? Well, let me tell you, Bloomberg knows how to live large. He's got a bunch of fancy homes all over the place. We're talking a mansion in London worth $26 million, a place in Bermuda. And get this, he spent $45 million just to fix up his house in Manhattan. That's more than most people spend on their entire house. But Bloomberg's not just about fancy houses. This guy's got a thing for planes too. He's got his own private jet, a Bombardier Global Express. This thing costs $20 million and it's not just for show. Bloomberg uses it to zip around for work and play. I guess when you're worth $76 billion, you don't have time to wait in airport security lines like the rest of us. And if you thought his plane was fancy, wait till you hear about his cars. Larry Page, this guy's a visionary. He took a simple idea, helping people find stuff online, and turned it into a multi-billion-dollar empire. Google's not just a search engine anymore. It's like the air we breathe on the internet. You can't go a day without using something Larry Page helped create. But here's where it gets crazy. Larry's not content with just ruling the internet. He's got his sights set on the sky and beyond. You know those flying cars we've been promised since like forever? Well, Larry's actually trying to make them happen. He's invested in companies working on flying taxis. Can you imagine? Instead of being stuck in traffic, you could be soaring over it. And if that's not wild enough for you, get this. Larry's also into space exploration. Yeah, you heard that right. This guy's not just thinking about the future of Earth, he's looking at the stars. It's like he's playing real-life Star Trek or something. Now you might be thinking, okay, he's into some cool future stuff, but what's he do for fun? Well, let me tell you, Larry knows how to live it up. He's got this luxury yacht called Senses, and it's not just some little boat. This thing's got a helipad, a swimming pool, and a spa. It's like a floating 5-star hotel. But why stop at the sea when you can rule the skies too? Larry's got his own private jet, but we're not talking about some tiny propeller plane. Nah, this dude's got a Boeing 767-200. That's right, a whole commercial airliner just for him. He dropped $15 million on it. I guess when you're worth $78 billion, you don't have to worry about baggage fees. But here's the thing about Larry. He's not all about the fancy toys. He's actually pretty chill in his day-to-day life. You'd probably walk right past him on the street and not even realize you just saw one of the richest guys in the world, Franois Guerlain. This lady's got more money than some small countries, all thanks to lipstick and shampoo. But don't think Franois is out there flaunting her cash like it's going out of style. Nah, this billionaire's more likely to be curled up with a good book than splashing out on yachts and jets. She's known for keeping it low-key, spending most of her time in her countryside home. It's like she's saying, yeah, I could buy a whole city, but I'd rather chill in my garden. Now, you might be thinking, what does a billionaire do for fun? Well, for Franois, it's all about the arts. She's not just into looking at pretty pictures, though. This lady's got some serious writing skills. She's penned books on Greek mythology. I guess when you're worth $78 billion, you can afford to spend your time diving into ancient stories. But here's where it gets really interesting. Franois isn't just hoarding all that cash. She's out there trying to make the world a better place. She's got this thing called the Bettencourt Schuler Foundation, and they're not messing around. They're throwing money at all sorts of causes, from science to the arts to education. It's like she's trying to solve all the world's problems with her L'Oreal fortune. And get this, when Notre Dame caught fire back in 2019, Franois didn't just sit back and watch. Nope. She whipped out her checkbook and donated a bunch of money to help fix it up. Talk about putting your money where your mouth is. But don't think Franois is all work and no play. She's got a thing for fancy cars. We're not talking about your average soccer mum minivan here. This lady's got a garage full of rides that'll make your head spin. We're talking Bentleys, Jaguars, Porsches, the kind of cars most of us only see in movies. Steve Balmer. Yes, he is staying cool as the former Microsoft CEO and current owner of the LA Clippers. This dude's sitting on a pile of cash that'll make your head spin. We're talking over $80 billion. Yeah, that's a billion with a B. Now you might be thinking, okay, he's got a bunch of money from computers, big deal. But hold up, there's more to Balmer than just ones and zeros. This guy's got a real estate game that'll make you want to cry. He's got this mansion in Hunts Point, Washington that's so fancy it makes Buckingham Palace look like a trailer park. We're talking 3,790 square feet of pure luxury. It's got Venetian plastered walls, 2 kitchens because why stop at one, and a wine cellar that's probably bigger than your whole house. But Balmer ain't just about living large. He's also got a thing for art. And I'm not talking about the kind of stuff you stick on your fridge. Nah, this dude's got pieces by Andy Warhol, Willem de Kooning and Edward Hopper. It's like he's got his own private MoMA in his living room. Now you might be thinking, okay, he's got some fancy houses and pretty pictures, but what's he do for fun? Well, let me tell you, Balmer knows how to have a good time. He bought the LA Clippers for $2 billion back in 2014. That's right. He dropped $2 billion on a basketball team. I guess when you're worth $80 billion, that's like buying a pack of gum for the rest of us. But here's the thing about Balmer. He's not just hoarding all that cash for himself. He and his wife Connie are big on giving back. They've dropped millions on all sorts of good causes. They gave $10 million to build a new computer science building at the University of Washington. And get this, they even gave $60 million to Harvard University for computer science education. I guess when you've made your fortune in tech, you want to make sure the next generation knows their stuff too. But don't think Balmer's all work and no play. Mukesh Ambani. Now, you might be thinking, okay, he's rich, but what's he do with all that cash? Well, let me tell you, Ambani's not just buying fancy cars and designer clothes. Nah, this guy's building himself a whole private city. I'm talking about Antilia, his home in Mumbai. But calling it a home is like calling the ocean a puddle. This place is 27 stories tall and it's worth $2 billion. Yeah, you heard that right. $2 billion for a house. It's like he looked at a skyscraper and thought, you know what? I'm gonna live in that. But Antilia ain't just big. It's got more bells and whistles than a circus. We're talking 3 helipads, a ballroom, a theatre, and even a snow room. Yeah, a snow room. In Mumbai, where it's hot all year round, I guess when you're worth $83.4 billion, you can make it snow whenever you want. And if you thought $1 billion house was enough, think again. Ambani's got properties all over the place. He's got a pad in London, a place in the Himalayas, and even a spot in New York City. It's like he's playing real-life Monopoly, but instead of little plastic houses, he's buying actual mansions. But Ambani's not just about fancy houses. He's got a thing for planes too. His private jet collection includes a Boeing business jet too. This thing's worth $73 million and it's basically a flying mansion. I guess when you're that rich, even first class isn't good enough. And let's not forget about his car collection. This guy's garage is like a luxury car showroom. Carlos Slim. This dude's got a real estate portfolio that'll make your jaw drop. He owns the Duke Siemens mansion in New York City. He dropped $44 million on it back in 2015. That's right, $44 million for a house. I guess when you're worth $91 billion, that's like buying a pack of gum for the rest of us. But Carlos ain't just about fancy houses. He's got a thing for cars too. And we're not talking about your average grocery getters. This guy's garage is like a luxury car showroom. He's got Mercedes-Benz SLS AMGs, McLaren F1S, and even a Bugatti Veyron. It's like he woke up one day and decided to buy every fancy car in Mexico. And if you thought that was impressive, hold on to your hats. Carlos has got his own private jet collection. He's got a Gulfstream Aerospace G650 and a Boeing 737. That's right, a whole commercial airliner just for him. I guess when you're that rich, even first class isn't good enough. But here's the thing about Carlos. He's not just about spending money, he's also big on giving it away. He's signed the Giving Pledge, promising to donate most of his fortune to charity. It's like he's saying, yeah, I've got more money than I could ever spend. Might as well help some folks out. Now you might be thinking, wow, this guy must be living like a king. But get this, despite all his billions, Carlos is actually pretty chill in his day-to-day life. He's been spotted eating at local restaurants and even driving himself to work. Bill Gates, he's the brains behind Microsoft, you know, that little company that makes the software you're probably using right now. But Gates ain't just about making money. He's out there trying to save the world too. Now you might be thinking, okay, he's rich and he's into computers, but what's he do with all that cash? Well, let me tell you, Gates knows how to live it up. This guy's got a house that'll make your jaw drop. It's called Xanadu 2.0 and it's not just big, it's smart. We're talking a 60-foot swimming pool with underwater music. Yeah, you heard that right. Underwater music. I guess when you're worth $104 billion, regular pools just don't cut it anymore. But wait, there's more. Gates ain't content with just one fancy house. He's got an $18 million ranch in California and a private island in Belize worth about $25 million. It's like he's playing real-life Monopoly, but instead of little greenhouses, he's buying whole islands. And if you thought his real estate game was impressive, wait till you hear about his rides. Gates has got a garage full of fancy cars that'll make your head spin. We're talking Porsches and Ferraris. And when he's tired of the road, he takes to the skies in his private jet. This thing's worth over $40 million. I guess when you're that rich, even first class feels like economy. Warren Buffett. By now, you might be thinking, okay, he's got a bunch of money, but what's he doing with it all? Well, here's the kicker, not much actually. Warren's not out there buying private islands or gold-plated toilets. Now, this guy's still living in the same house he bought back in 1958 for $31,500. No, really, the guy who could buy a small country is chilling in a house that probably costs less than your car. But don't think Warren's all work and no play. He's got his little indulgences. You know what this billionaire's idea of living it up is? Sipping on some cherry Coke and chowing down on some McDonald's. I guess when you're worth $106 billion, you don't need caviar and champagne to feel fancy. Now you might be wondering, if he's not spending it on himself, what's he doing with all that cash? Well, hold on to your hats, folks, because this is where it gets really wild. Warren's decided to give away 99% of his wealth to charity. Yeah, you heard that right. This guy's basically saying, I've got more money than I could ever spend. Might as well help some folks out. But here's the thing about Warren. He's not just throwing money around. He's the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, a company that owns a piece of pretty much everything. From ice cream to insurance, if you can buy it, Buffett probably has a stake in it. It's like he's playing real-life Monopoly. But instead of little plastic houses, he's buying whole companies. And get this, Warren's not just about making money. He's actually pretty chill about the whole billionaire thing. Larry Ellison, welcoming the database genius who's sitting pretty at number 4 on our list with a mind-blowing $111 billion. Yeah, you heard that right. This dude's got more money than some small countries. So what's Larry's deal? He's the big boss of Oracle, you know, that company that makes all those fancy computer programs you probably use at work. But Larry ain't just about ones and zeros. This guy knows how to live it up in style. Now you might be thinking, okay, he's got a bunch of money from computers. But what's he do with all that cash? Well, let me tell you, Larry's not content with just one fancy boat. Nah, this guy's got a whole fleet of luxury yachts. We're talking about ships that are so fancy, they make cruise liners look like rubber duckies. His biggest one, the Musashi, is 87.8 meters long. That's longer than a football field. And get this, it's got a gym, a movie theater, and even a basketball court. I guess when you're worth $111 billion, you can't settle for just one kind of workout. But Larry ain't just about boats. He's got a car collection that'll make your head spin. We're talking rare and historic rides like a 1958 Porsche 356A Speedster and a 1964 Shelby Cobra. It's like he's got his own private car museum. And he doesn't just let these beauties collect dust. Nope. Larry's been spotted racing his cars at events like the Monterey Motorsports Reunion. I guess when you're that rich, you can afford to live life in the fast lane. Now you might be thinking, wow, this guy must have a bunch of fancy houses too. And you'd be right. But Larry's not content with just a mansion or two. This dude bought an entire Hawaiian island. Yeah, you heard that right. He dropped $300 million on Lanai, his own slice of paradise. It's like he looked at a map and thought, you know what? I'll take that one. But here's the thing about Larry. He's not just about spending money, he's also big on giving it away. He's made some serious contributions to medical research and education. Jeff Bezos, he's the big boss of Amazon, you know, that little company that delivers everything from toilet paper to TV sets right to your doorstep. But Jeff ain't just about cardboard boxes and delivery trucks. This guy knows how to live it up in style. Now you might be thinking, okay, he's got a bunch of money from selling stuff online, but what's he do with all that cash? Well, let me tell you, Jeff's not content with just one fancy house. Now, this guy's got mansions all over the place. He's got a $165 million Hollywood Hills estate that he bought from David Geffen. That's right, $165 million for a house. I guess when you're worth $115 billion, that's like buying a pack of gum for the rest of us. But wait, there's more. Jeff's also got this crazy mansion in Washington, D.C. It's got 25 bathrooms. Yeah, you heard that right. 25 bathrooms. It's like he never wants to wait in line to pee again. And if that's not enough, it's got 2 elevators and 5 living rooms. I guess when you're that rich, you need multiple rooms just to, well, live in. Now, you might be wondering, how does a guy like Jeff get around? Well, let me tell you, he's not exactly catching the bus. Jeff's got his own private jet, a Gulfstream G650ER. This thing's worth over $65 million and it's got 18 seats. I guess when you're the boss of Amazon, you can't be caught flying coach. But here's the thing about Jeff. He's not just about fancy houses and private jets. This guy's got his sights set on the stars, literally. He started this company called Blue Origin that's all about space exploration. It's like he looked at Earth and thought, nah, not big enough, let's go to space. And get this, Jeff's not just hoarding all that cash for himself. He's been known to throw some serious money at good causes too. Elon Musk, so big to call $196 billion. Yeah, you heard that right, he's got more money than some countries. So what's Elon's deal? He's the big boss of Tesla and SpaceX, you know, those companies that are making cars drive themselves and trying to send people to Mars. But Elon ain't just about fancy cars and spaceships. This guy's got a whole bunch of other crazy ideas up his sleeve. Now you might be thinking, okay, he's got a bunch of money from selling cars and rockets. But what's he do with all that cash? Well, let me tell you, Elon's not your average billionaire. This guy used to own a bunch of fancy houses, including a $17 million mansion in Bel Air. But get this, in 2020 he decided he was done with all that. He tweeted, "I'm selling almost all physical possessions, will own no house." Yeah, you heard that right. The second richest guy in the world decided to sell all his houses, but don't think Elon's living on the streets. He's got this thing about building a whole town in Texas for his SpaceX employees. It's like he looked at a map and thought, you know what, I'll just make my own city. Now you might be wondering, how does a guy like Elon get around? Well, let me tell you, he's not exactly catching the bus. Elon's got a car collection that'll make your jaw drop. We're talking about a Tesla Roadster, an Audi R8, and get this, a Bugatti Chiron. This thing costs over $3 million. I guess when you're worth $196 billion, you can afford to splurge on a car or two. But Elon ain't just about fancy cars. He's got his own private jet collection too. He's got this Gulfstream G650ER that's so fancy, it makes first class look like riding in the trunk. And he doesn't just use it for fun. Bernard Arnault. We're talking Louis Vuitton bags, Hennessy cognac, and even Tiffany jewelry. But Bernard ain't just about selling expensive stuff. This guy's got a taste for the finer things in life too. Now you might be thinking, okay, he's got a bunch of money from selling fancy bags, but what's he do with all that cash? Well, let me tell you, Bernard's not content with just owning a bunch of luxury brands. This guy's got the largest private Picasso art collection in the world. Yeah, you heard that right. When most of us are happy to hang a poster on our wall, Bernard's got original Picassos just chilling in his living room. But wait, there's more. Bernard ain't just about paintings. He's got this crazy yacht called Symphony. This thing's worth over $100 million and it's 101 meters long. That's longer than a football field. And get this, it's got a swimming pool, a helipad, a golf tee box, an elevator, an outdoor cinema, and a beach club. I guess when you're worth $206 billion, you need a boat that's basically a floating city. Now you might be wondering, does this guy do anything besides buy fancy stuff? Well, hold on to your hats, because Bernard's actually pretty big on giving back too. In 2019, he promised to donate $226 million to help fix up Notre Dame after that big fire. It's like he looked at one of the most famous churches in the world and thought, you know what, I'll just pay to fix it up. But here's the thing about Bernard. He's not out there shouting about how rich he is. This guy's actually pretty low-key. He's known for avoiding public appearances and spending time with his family and close friends. It's like he's saying, yeah, I could buy a small country, but I'm cool with just chilling at home. So there you have it. Bernard Arnault, the luxury goods titan, art collector extraordinaire, and the richest person in the world. With over $206 billion in the bank, he's not just living the high life, he's defining what luxury even means.